Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dereck Unboxing. Please give this channel a like and a subscribe. I'm of course the Ring magazine correspondent for South Africa. I also write a blog, www.couchpotatofightguru.blogspot.com. Check that out if you want to. And we've got a big boxing weekend ahead of us with lots of activity going on. And I'm going to start with Saturday's heavyweight fight in the UK at the Wembley Arena in London. Now, I'm talking, of course, about Aleksandr Usyk from the Ukraine. He's going to be looking to restore Ukrainian pride after Vasyl Lomachenko was beaten by Teofimo Lopez. And the big thing with Aleksandr Usyk is what kind of an impact can he make as a heavyweight? He was the undisputed cruiserweight champion, World Boxing Super Series, made his career like a handful of other fighters, and he cleaned up that division. And we had to wait for almost a year for his heavyweight debut, which took place in November or October last year, I think. So now we're already a year ahead, but that was because of COVID-19, not his fault. So he's been injury prone, and that's made for inactivity. And his heavyweight debut was against a guy named Chaz Witherspoon. He's of course a cousin of former two-time heavyweight champion Terrible Tim Witherspoon. Now nobody's gonna mistake Chaz for his uncle Tim, but he's a heavyweight with a decent record. He has a couple of losses, but he has been stopped 3 times, you know, by Chris Arreola, although the official result was a disqualification because Areola's handers got into the ring, but it's a stoppage for all intents and purposes. Seth Mitchell, who was a good prospect but never quite made it in the end, and Tony Thompson, who was a reasonably solid contender in his day. So he did what he was supposed to do against Chaz Witherspoon. He dominated him, and eventually Witherspoon's corner pulled him out after seven rounds. But Witherspoon stayed on his feet throughout the fight. So that didn't show us anything new about Usyk. It showed us that he's a really good southpaw. He's quick on his feet. He moves this way, that way. He has that pesky jab and angles. And he's a volume puncher. He's got high work rate. He chips away at you and simply befuddles you and makes for openings. But Usyk, I think it's safe to say he hasn't got a big punch at heavyweight. He's not going to be able to depend on that. So he's got to depend on his boxing skills, and he's got plenty of that. And he's got something a lot more serious in front of him on Saturday. Still not the top echelon of heavyweights, but he's facing Dereck Chisora, or his nickname these days is War Chisora, and it's appropriate because he gave us 2 classics against Dillian Whyte, dropped a split decision the first one, and then the second one was also touch and go. I think he was leading on one of 2 of the cards before he got knocked out, I think in the last round by White. But at 32-9, Chisora has had his losses, but he always gives it a good go. He's like the premier gatekeeper of the heavyweight division, or perhaps when he's on his best runs, maybe a fringe contender just here between 10 and 12. But he's a hard night's work for anyone. Only 3 men in the heavyweight division have managed to stop Chisora, and that was David A, Tyson Fury, and Dillian Whyte. So no shame in that. A won a heavyweight title. Whyte, who knows, he was upset by Povetkin, and Tyson Fury is a man in the heavyweight division. But the only guys who put him on the floor and kept him there were A and Whyte. Fury had to give him a systematic beat down in the second encounter until his corner pulled him out. So Chisora is one of those kind of guys that he does well against the top guys, or he at least compete, but it doesn't get over the hump. He should have been the first guy to defeat Robert Alanius in Finland, but he was a victim of a hometown decision. In his only title shot back then, he hung tough against Vitaly Klitschko, went the distance. And in between, he scored some wins over useful sort of B-C grade heavyweights, guys like Malik Scott, Edmund Gerber, and then in his last run, he also scored his last 2 fights were impressive knockouts over former title challenger Arthur Spielka, and then another failed prospect David Price that he also stopped. So Chisora, he can bang a bit. I won't say he's the best one-and-done puncher in the heavyweight division, but he can be dangerous. He's going to hurt you if you let him on the inside and let him work away. He can definitely punch. So one question we want answered about Usyk is, can he take a really good heavyweight crack? What happens if it lands on his chin? Now, that's the thing that we hope Dereck Chisora can give us an answer to. So here is what I think. There's an odd one here and there that picks Dereck Chisora to upset the apple cart. You know, despite his out-of-the-ring antics, I always kind of liked Dereck Chisora. I have a soft spot for him because he always gives it his all, and more often than not, when he's dialed in, when he's motivated, he provides some really good action. And he's even Kubrat Pulev took the distance and made it a close fight. So Chisora can fight, you know, and I think he's evolved a little bit. He's gotten better over the years, but he's still he's a flat-footed heavyweight, and he just steadily puts pressure on you, and he tries to drag you into a wall. Now, I think with Aleksandr Usyk, who's a southpaw, of course, he's very quick on his feet. That's one advantage he does have. He's very quick compared to the run-of-the-mill heavyweight. But he's a small heavyweight at 6'3". But here's a surprise in this fight. Chisora is shorter than Usyk at 6'1", and he's got a shorter reach than Usyk. So that's not going to be a problem. Chisora is the bigger man, but he's broader than Usyk. Usyk only weighed 215 pounds for his fight against Chaz Witherspoon. So if they get in the trenches, and if Chisora can pin him on the ropes in the corner, he's going to be the stronger man. But I don't think Chisora is going to be able to do that. He's not quite that good at cutting off the ring, and Usyk really moves well from side to side. He's a nightmare to pin down. So I think Dereck Chisora is simply going to struggle with the quickness and the footwork of Usyk most of all, and he's going to battle to push him into a corner and work Usyk over. So I think Chisora is going to have a real stylistic nightmare with Usyk, and I expect Usyk to win a lopsided sort of points decision. You know, nothing that's going to set the stage alight, but he's going to win, I think, almost every round against Chisora. You know, Usyk may not be a great heavyweight, but he is a great fighter skill-wise. He really is good, and Chisora is a good heavyweight, yeah, but not an elite heavyweight. He's not on the level of an Anthony Joshua or a Tyson Fury, in my opinion. He's just not there. So I think the skill level, even though Usyk is a smaller man, the gap is just too big. And I'm going for Usyk on a lopsided 12-round points decision. If he can stop Chisora, I'd be very impressed. It might be one of these sort of systematic beatdown, like pull him out in the corner type of things. I struggle to see him putting Chisora down and keeping him down. You will have to time him with a brilliant counter punch with his weight coming forward to do that. So let's see how Usyk performs. And that's what I think is going to happen between Aleksandr Usyk and Dereck Chisora. We all want to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Now with the third match between Fury and Wilder has fallen on the wayside. I even want to see Joshua and Wilder before I see Aleksandr Usyk taking his shot at either Joshua or Fury. It will probably, if they fight each other, or otherwise it will probably be Anthony Joshua. But if he does, and I think he'll get his title shot, he's got WBO mandatory status, it will be very interesting for me to see whether Aleksandr Usyk can use those skills to box and move his way to the heavyweight title. That'll be intriguing to me, at least beyond Fury and Joshua fighting each other. So I'll be watching Aleksandr Usyk with interest, and until we see each other again, please keep those gloves up.